Hey, there's something that I really wanted to talk to you about. I think we both know that I've always struggled to fit in and something never felt right, but I can finally tell you why. I've spent years, decades even, trying to figure out how to be a boy with little or no success, and I definitely found little joy in it. And now I realize that it'll never work out because I'm a girl. I think I've always had this feeling, but I just didn't have the vocabulary to express it, or I was just too afraid to admit it. But I'm done hiding now. I realize that I can no longer live as someone I'm not, so here I am. I am trans, and I've been so happy discovering and finding new ways to express the real me. I feel confident and optimistic, and I hope that you'll see that soon. And I hope that you'll enjoy getting to know the real me as much as I have. So, next time you see me, I will probably be dressed a little differently, and I may be wearing makeup, but you can call me Fiona from now on. Hello my darlings, and welcome to my little corner of the internet, where I talk about the things that I've learned and discovered about myself as a trans woman. That, if you didn't guess, was a little simulation of how I came out to my family. Yes, it was over Zoom because my family live over 3,000 kilometers away the other side of an ocean, so you kind of got a pretty authentic experience there. Anyway, I thought it was a good introduction into the conversation around coming out, as well as a decent example to maybe make yours a little bit easier. And in reality, you never really stop coming out unless you are able to and decide to live as 100% stealth, so it's always useful to have some little tips and reminders at hand. And talking about tips, there are so many that are applicable in so many different situations, but to keep this video at an appropriate length, I'm going to try and stick just to the ones that I think are the most important. To start off, sometimes it can help to reframe coming out as inviting others in. The wording of coming out can make it seem so performative or even like a confession to others, like we've done something wrong. It seems indiscriminate, like it's to everyone and it's out of our control. Inviting in, on the other hand, reminds us that we get to choose who we invite into this precious little part of ourselves, and that it's not something to be ashamed of. It also reminds us that being invited into this precious little world of ours is a privilege. Nobody has the right to know our sexuality or gender identity. They're not entitled to it. You get to choose the if, how, when, where, and with whom you disclose your transness or sexual orientation. Your identity is no less valid if you are the only person that knows it, or if everyone around you does. You don't have to come out to everyone the moment that you realize who you are, unless you want to. But the point is you don't have to come out to anyone unless you decide it's what's best for you. And with that being said, coming out is difficult and it's terrifying. It unfortunately comes with the territory of not being a mind reader. There's no certainty of how someone will react to it. However, we can do some things to test the waters, to get a better idea of how someone will likely react to the news. Sometimes, when we're lucky, people will do this for us. Maybe they'll actively voice that they have a trans family member or friend that they support, or maybe they constantly advocate for LGBTQ+ rights. And sometimes we'll have to probe them ourselves to try and find out their views. Maybe bringing up recent events, especially if a celebrity has come out, or perhaps invent someone who's come out at school or work or at a club you go to, and just see what they think. It's worth mentioning that whatever views they may have, positive or negative, this may not end up being the type of reaction they have with you. Sometimes people can be supposedly fine with these others until those others become a part of their personal lives, and others can show unbelievable understanding and care to the people that they know. I don't think it's very common for an expected positive reaction to turn into a negative one. So whilst you shouldn't scare yourself by always expecting a negative reaction, you should still prepare for one. It's also worth paying attention to how people respond to emotional events. Do they normally respond with empathy, or do they get angry and defensive, or maybe even just shut off? Knowing how people generally react to things can help you gauge what to be ready for. So try your best to start out with people that you're more certain will support you. It doesn't have to be your family, and it doesn't even have to be your closest friends. Because if you can get even just one person who you know supports you and is going to be there for you, it makes a world of difference going forwards. They can help reduce fear when you're telling people that you're less sure of, and also be there if things do go wrong. So, after thinking about it, you've decided you want to come out to someone. Amazing! You can do this. First, let's think of the how. If there's one thing that I want you to take away from this, is that there is no right or wrong way to do it. Only you can ever know your entire situation and what's best for you. So, with that being said, these tips are just what I've picked up along the way. They're food for thought, and you're allowed to discard them if you think they're useless for your situation. And with that preface over, let's get to the concrete hows. You can do it face to face. You can write a letter to hand to them that you can then be there or not when they read it, or you can leave that letter in a place that they're going to find it. You can even send a text or an email or call them. The choice is yours. And if you do it face to face, you can choose where. Do whatever you think is the most appropriate and safest for you. As I said, I came out to my family via Zoom because it was the most personal way of coming out that I could have done. However, even if I was closer, I probably still would have come out via Zoom to my dad because I was scared of a negative reaction. And if I had to do it in person, I would have done it in a public place because I believe that would have restrained his negative reaction. And whilst we're on the discussion of where, when is a valid thing to think about too. Although there is no perfect times, there are some times that are better than others. When do you feel most at ease? Is there an event coming up where you might feel it be easier? Or perhaps there's a moment when the other person is more relaxed and will be more receptive and open to listening. They're all good things to think about, but in my experience, at a certain point, you just have to
jump into it.
As I said, there are no perfect times, so if you wait for the perfect time, you're going to be waiting forever. Before you do jump in, do your best to have a plan in case something goes wrong. Do your best to make sure you'll be safe. That's why it's so useful to have someone who's there that you can trust, someone who will be there in case things go south. Alright, we've got the who, the how, the where, and the when all sorted out, but what are we going to say? This obviously strongly depends on who you're talking to, but I find that in all cases, it's always good to be clear and confident. You can explain however much you want what being trans or queer means to you, but keep it concise. If you ramble too much, the message can get a bit lost or confused, and on that note, be direct about what you want the other person to do. I am this gender, use these pronouns, and please call me by this name. Or, alternatively, you can say I don't want you to change anything right now. That's totally valid too. This all just helps keep the message of what you're trying to say stay understandable for the other person, and hopefully the confidence will encourage them to believe you. And on the note of confidence, it's easier said than done, especially in a situation that's so nerve-wracking, but do the best that you can. Rehearse what you're going to say before doing it, and even write it down if you can. I used that same speech for all of my family members, so by the time I got to my dad, I was pretty confident in it. You can also just tell the other person that this conversation is difficult for you and ask for patience. This communicates that your nerves come from a place of being vulnerable and not from a place of doubt. And you can even use your words to communicate confidence in your identity. Tell them that you've been thinking about this for ages. Tell them that you've been experimenting, and tell them that it's made you happier. Communicate that you know this is what's right for you, and hopefully this won't leave any room for them to doubt your own knowledge of yourself. Finally, once you've said what you need to say, be compassionate. Understand that it may take some people some time to come around, and that's okay. They may have to challenge their own ideas and principles, and unfortunately that change doesn't come instantly. However, if they don't listen or respect you, you may have to set some boundaries. Be compassionate to yourself too. You do not have to weather any disrespect or discrimination whilst they come to terms with your identity. But if the other person has taken things well enough and you feel able to, invite them to ask some questions. Answering questions can help the other person better learn and understand, and it can also make them realize that this isn't some strange or dangerous topic, it's just another part of you. And remember that you always have the right to set boundaries or refuse to answer a question, and you are allowed to end a conversation by walking out the room or otherwise blocking them if those boundaries are not respected. So, in summary, focus mostly on your own well-being and the fact that you are happier just being who you really are. Show that you've got confidence in your identity and that it's important that it be respected. Make sure you're keeping yourself safe. Call hotlines or get in contact with local LGBTQ+ organisations or clubs at schools, universities, colleges, even work sometimes, if you feel that would benefit you. Those resources are there for you, and you deserve to access them if you feel like they would help you in any way. And remember that even if you can't share your identity with others, you are no less valid. It may be tough, but there is a time in your future where you will get to be you. There are people out there that will care for and support you, even if they are not the people you initially hoped they would be. I really do hope that you are met with love and open arms by all those who you tell. But if that's not the case, it's okay for that to hurt. Just remember, they don't deserve to be in your life if they can't love you for who you are. So, stay strong, there will be victories, and don't let fear paralyze you. And there comes the end of a video where I actually didn't say the word society a single time. It's impressive. As always, please hit that like button if you did enjoy this video, and please subscribe if you want to see more like it. YouTube's harassing me about telling you to press the bell, so please do that if you haven't already too. And feel free to leave your own tips or coming out stories in the comments below. I have to admit, it was really weird to go boy mode to recreate my coming out, but you know, sacrifices have to be made for content, so I hope you enjoyed that little recreation too. If you do want to get more content from me, feel free to follow me on Blue Sky or come join me when I stream every Sunday at 1 PM Eastern Time. I am going to be trying to post more on Blue Sky, and you're allowed to harass me if I don't keep to that promise. But for the time being, keep safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!